Alright, here's the thing. I'm a guy that loves to brainstorm a lot. When it's nighttime and I'm there on my bed, sleep, I always think of many ideas. What if there was a game where this happens?
But we can always shake it, shake it, shake it, shake.
Oh wait, I don't know game development. Shit. What if there was a character in this game that had this moveset? What if, but I don't know game development or 3D modeling or any of that crap, so yeah, it's just stuck as creative ideas. But that doesn't mean I can't talk about them, and there has been an idea on my mind that was inspired by this video right here. This video basically talks about what if the FNAF animatronics had different mechanics, and it gave me an idea. What if Five Nights at Freddy's 1 had a hard mode? I will talk about what I would think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 would be like if it had a hard mode. And this mode would be unlocked if you beat nights 1 through 6. I will talk about general changes, AI changes, and each animatronic is gonna get a new mechanic. I'm gonna give the animatronics new mechanics that would fit in the base game of Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which means I cannot add anything new like, oh, now a generator exists that Freddy can malfunction. I can't do that because in the base game of Five Nights at Freddy's, there is no generator. Therefore, the new mechanics that I'm gonna add to the animatronics have to make sense in the base game of Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This might not be a video you guys like, but I wanted to do it because I cannot just, let this creativity flow only in my head until I get a damn migraine. I have to talk about it some way, shape, or form. Anyways, let's start with general changes. The first change that hard mode would have is that the office now has a tint of red to it, to make the player know that this is hard mode. The cameras will also have the same treatment, they will have a tint of red to them. The second change would be the atmosphere. Hard mode's ambience would be much more creepier and slowed down than the normal ambience. Here's an example. And the final general change that hard mode will have is that each night lasts much more longer. For example, in FNAF 1, each night is 8 minutes and 55 seconds long. However, in hard mode, it will be 9 minutes and 20 seconds long. But because of how much longer the player will have to survive, the player will get some additional battery when the night starts. So instead of starting out with 100% battery, the player will start out with 103. The time increase is so that you have to survive longer against the animatronics, rather than having a higher possibility that your power will run out. Another general change I would like to point out is that each night when you make it to 5 AM, the tint of red becomes slightly darker and the ambience becomes almost corrupted. Here's an example. Anyways, those are the general changes. Now let's go to AI and new mechanics. For the first night, the AI of the animatronics goes from this to this. For those who don't know how the AI of the animatronics works, basically the higher the number, the more they move. I haven't increased Foxy's AI because in my opinion he isn't really a part of night 1. He will play a bigger role in night 2 though. Bonnie will still have the same mechanic of going to the left door, however now he has something new going on. In a lot of FNAF fan games, Bonnie has this trope of breaking or corrupting cameras. I don't know where this trope came from, but it's really popular. So now, when you are on a camera where Bonnie is, except the main stage, the camera will slowly get more and more staticky, and once it fully gets staticky, every single camera will be corrupted for a short period of time, around 30 seconds. And the higher Bonnie's AI is, the more faster the screen gets corrupted. Meaning that in old 20 mode and hard mode, if you have the camera on Bonnie, he might corrupt your whole camera system in less than a second, making him a bigger threat towards the later nights. Chica again stays the same, attacking from the right door, however her new mechanic is that she is much more persistent. Basically now, when you shut the right door on her, she will stay there a bit longer longer than she does in the base game, forcing you to have the door shut for a longer period of time. Although this new mechanic change is incredibly simple, in my opinion is extremely effective. Having an animatronic that could stay on the door for a really long time can be a real big threat towards the end game. For night 2, the AI goes from this to this, and a new threat is more active, that being Foxy, and I decided to make him more threatening than he already is. You see, in the base game of Five Nights at Freddy's, when you open up the camera, Foxy slows down. But that's the problem. If you look at just any camera that is in Pirate's Cove, Foxy slows down. You don't have to be watching Pirate's Cove for him to slow down. Even though a lot of people believed when Five Nights at Freddy's 1 came out that you had to watch Pirate's Cove specifically for Foxy to slow down, which wasn't the case. But in hard mode, it is. Foxy will now only get slowed down when you're watching Pirate's Cove specifically. If you look at any other camera, he won't slow down. It would be just as if you were in your office and not looking at the cameras in the base game. And the second mechanic that Foxy will have is that now he can attack from the right hallway as well. Meaning that when you see that he has left Pirate's Cove, you can't just flip down your monitor and close the left door. You have to check the left and right hallway to see which one he is running to. Or if you don't want to risk it and waste a bunch of power, you can just close both doors once you see he is gone. In my opinion, this changes Foxy a lot. Because of the new camera mechanic, he will attack much more frequently. And the fact that you have to keep using the cameras more to check out which hallway he is running to will cause a bunch of damage to your power, making Foxy a bigger threat than he already is. The AI of Night 3 goes from this to this, and Freddy gets a new mechanic, of course. Freddy's new mechanic is incredibly simple but very effective. It will leave you having to concentrate a lot. In the base game, Freddy would laugh and then move a camera. Each time he laughs, that means he has moved to a new camera, following a certain path forward towards the right hallway corner. And you could see where he was at by his glowing eyes. But what if his eyes didn't glow? Yup, his new mechanic is basically that when he leaves the stage, he is completely invisible, including when he is in the right hallway corner. Meaning that if you lose track of him, you can't just go searching for his glowing eyes, you've lost him completely. So you have to determine where he is by listening to his laughs. Don't worry, he still gets slowed down by watching the camera he's at, he's just not visible. Add this to the fact that you have to focus on other things as well, then there's a pretty high chance you will miss Freddy's laugh at one point and forget where he is. This makes Freddy a much more threatening character, because if you lose track of him and he is in the right hallway corner but you don't know he is there, you could get the most unexpected jump scare of a lifetime. Also, Freddy has a second mechanic that I should have introduced in Night 1, but it happens only when the power goes out. Basically, when the power goes out, Freddy sings his little jingle, lights go out for a couple of seconds, then boom, jump scare. However, I decided to make the power outage almost an unfair death. You see, in the base game, if you were at 5 AM and the power ran out, you had pretty high hopes of still making it to 6 AM. Because even when Freddy is done with his little jingle, the lights still go out for a pretty long time, but not in this case. Freddy will still play his jingle when the power goes out, but here's the difference. The moment the lights go off, he jump scares you instantly. He won't even let a single second go by. The moment the lights flicker off, boom, jump scare. So instead of having the lights go out at 5 AM being a small flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, you will last it out, it is now a realization that there is an incredibly high chance you're gonna die, making power outages in hard mode much more terrifying. In Night 4, the AI goes from this to this. Now, of course, there isn't any new animatronic to talk about, however, I will like to introduce a new thing: hallucination spikes. These hallucination spikes will happen through Night 4 to Night 6. I'd like to think of it that the Night Guard in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 has encountered so many dangerous situations with these animatronics that he has become a bit schizophrenic, causing him to have various different hallucinations. The first thing that happens is that the common hallucinations, you know, the images that flash on screen in the base game randomly have a higher chance of happening more. The second hallucination the player could have is that at random points during the night, the timer at the upper right changes. For example, you could have made it to 3 AM, let's say, but the hallucination happens and now it shows you're at 5 AM. Disclaimer, you are not at 5 AM, you're still at 3 AM. You're just having a hallucination. This is just a little thing to mess with the player or give them false hope that they're close to beating the night. The time will go back to its original state after like 20 to 30 seconds. The third hallucination that the player could have is while using their cameras. When clicking on a camera, there is a very small chance that a different camera will pop up. The hallucination basically being that the player thought they clicked on a certain camera, but it turns out they clicked on a different one, which can mess a player up a bit, especially if the camera accidentally lands on Bonnie with his AI being higher than normal. The fourth hallucination that the player could have is basically they could see the animatronics in the doorways. For example, when the player uses the light, there is a small chance that Bonnie or Chica will appear. However, they aren't real, they are hallucinations, meaning that you might accidentally close your door for no reason. However, don't worry, there is a way to tell if they're hallucinations or not, because let's say hallucination Bonnie and hallucination Chica don't have eyes. That's how you can tell them apart from the real Bonnie and Chica. And the fifth hallucination, and the most terrifying one in my opinion, is that every time an hour goes by, there is a small chance that hallucination Foxy will attack. Basically, a Foxy jump scare will happen, but Foxy is missing his eyes. And that's it, don't worry, you don't die, because it's a hallucination. This is to startle the player and mess them up from any task they are currently doing. Hallucination Foxy can also only attack from the left door, not the right, unlike the real Foxy. And yes, before you ask, if you have the left door closed, then no, Hallucination Foxy won't attack. In my opinion, if we add these hallucinations to mentally trick the player, along with the player concentrating a lot with the animatronics and their new mechanics, it will make the game an incredibly stressful experience. And now let's get Night 5 and 6 out of the way. Night 5's AI goes from this to this, and finally Night 6's AI goes from this to this. And once you beat Night 6, you unlock Custom Night Hard Mode, which is basically Custom Night but with the hard mode rules. This was just a video I wanted to do for fun. I just wanted to share with you guys a concept of mine that I've been thinking about. It would be really cool to see this concept in a, fan game, I guess, or a Five Nights at Freddy's 1 mod. But for now, this just stays a nice concept that I wanted to share. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, guess that's it everybody. See ya.